Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following everything happening with the latest gaming hardware. I'm Damon Hatfield. As always, I'm joined by Max Scoville, host of Podcast Beyond, and Ryan McCaffrey, host of Podcast Unlocked. There's a lot to talk about this week. Lots of exciting gaming announcements happening. We just had the latest Sony State of Play, which is bookended by both Saros and finally, Wolverine. TGS is happening right now, so lots of news coming out of Tokyo. There was a Kojima Productions presentation there. There was an Xbox stream, so lots of exciting things. It seems like maybe things might be turning around for this generation, which I think a lot of people have expressed disappointment in over the last 5 years. There's been a sort of a sense of failure to launch as publishers were reluctant to let go of older platforms like PS4 and Xbox One. But Max, let's start with you. Give us your impressions of the latest Sony State of Play, which was recorded yesterday.
I think it was overall fine, but it had a couple of major highlights. I think starting off with Saros was killer. That's Housemarque's follow-up to Returnal, which again was one of the first really banger PS5 titles. It was properly like a PlayStation 5 game and really took advantage of the hardware, both in the controller and the console itself. And it's, I'm curious to see what they do, refining that further. It's interesting. I feel like there was a little bit in the messaging that almost seems like they are not making it easier, but making it less punishing in the roguelite sense.
Yeah.
Like the slogan seems to be come back stronger, and you've got a new you basically got an extra life, it seems like. You get the ability. Yeah. Which is cool. And I mean, again, this is I'm glad we got a release date that's coming out early next year. Looks rad. Wolverine though is really what I was just been waiting for. It looks so good. I love that they immediately kind of just took it head on, and they were like, yeah, I know some people are like, are we going to make this violent? Yes, we are. We really are. We are going to have so much blood in this game and dismemberment and all sorts of just really nasty Wolverine stuff. And it looks fantastic. I'm
so excited for it. It's not too often we get new blood tech. They made new blood tech for this game.
Really just doing the Lord's work out there. It's interesting because it has that same, it's not fully photorealistic. It's got like kind of a cartoony element to it. Like it's parts of it are very realistic, but it kind of reminds me of Spider-Man in that sense and the previous games. And it's exaggerated, it's colorful, it's over the top, but it's also, clearly phenomenally detailed. And it's not hard to see why this has taken a while to make, because clearly it's a big old quadruple A game. So
yeah, super excited for that. That's absolutely one of my most anticipated games of 2026 already. Ryan, what was your first impression of Wolverine?
I mean, I expected the bar was high with Insomniac here, and they're hitting it for me so far. I mean, I didn't really have any doubts that it would be ultra violent. I mean, even though Spider-Man is obviously this much more family-friendly character, but boy, yeah, they took about 0.1 seconds into that trailer to confirm, yes, this will be a very violent Wolverine game. And it looks like, you can kind of see there's no HUD on this. There's no UI, obviously, in any of this footage, but you can kind of see where some of it's like finishing moves kind of that there seems to be some contextual stuff like up against walls or something to when, you can do some gross, just absolutely violent finishing moves on enemies. And but it's okay because they're like cyborgs, they're not fully human. So even though they're bleeding very red blood and they have lots of tissue in their bodies, there's robot parts too, so it's fine to just slice and dice them all. But fall 2026 for this. They said we'd see more of it in the spring, which I would interpret that as either its own state of play or maybe even a formal PlayStation showcase in maybe early June, kind of alongside everything else that we are accustomed to seeing that time of year. But fall 26 is already, we're only in fall 25. We just started fall 25, but fall of next year is already looking seriously stacked.
Throw some game titles out there that you're expecting for fall 26.
Well, none of these are announced, but on the Xbox side, well, I guess one of them is Gears of War E-Day is 26, and if it's, I would be very shocked if that's in the first half of the year. So that's almost certainly a big fall game. Same thing with Fable 2026. That's almost certainly going to be a big fall game for them. And then the heavily rumored Unreal Engine 5 remaster of Halo 1, Halo Combat Evolved. I'd be pretty surprised if that didn't arrive either right around or perhaps on the actual 25th anniversary day, which will be November 15th of 2026. So you've got that in there. And then there's one other one, which I don't know if we're talking about now or in a little bit, but we got the announcement this week for Forza Horizon 6, heavily rumored. It is going to Japan. And the only indication we got of a timeline for that was a simple 2026 slate. So that could be fall. We were debating this on Podcast Unlocked this week. I think it's going to be pre-GTA 6 in the first half of the year, but
Oh, wow.
it's possible. I mean, I can't rule out at all. I mean, it's definitely possible that could be a fall game. I just don't see Playground shipping both of their big Xbox games, Forza Horizon 6 and Fable, within a month or two of each other, even though Obsidian shipped 3 games for Xbox this year. But so it's fall of next year is already just nuts, and that's without knowing anything of what Nintendo's big fall plans for next year might be.
Yeah, exactly. Since you mentioned Forza Horizon 6, I thought it was remarkable that in the PlayStation State of Play, they showcased Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 coming to PS5. It is not unusual for Xbox games to come to PlayStation anymore, but I think that's the first time they've actually showcased one in their own State of Play. And it might be because, Forza Horizon 5 is the best-selling PS5 game this year. So maybe they've fully embraced Xbox on their platform, it seems.
Yeah, and it might be the first time the actual word Microsoft appeared in a Sony showcase of any kind, which of course that title screen, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. But yeah, and Microsoft's dialing up some PSVR 2 support for that too,
I know,
which is super great to see. So the PlayStation gamers will have I guess I won't definitively call it the best experience necessarily compared to Xbox players, because some people like VR, some people don't, but a very unique experience will be exclusively available on the PlayStation version relative to the Xbox console version.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be probably the cheapest way to get into the VR side of things with that. You know, if you're doing VR on PC, it's typically a much more of a,
there's no MetaQuest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Max, one more quick question on Wolverine. At some point in Wolverine, does Spider-Man show up?
Oh, I don't know.
They're supposed to be in the same universe, right?
That would be cool. Maybe that's the DLC. I don't know. That'd be fun.
Okay.
Amazing team up. Be good.
Max, did you see the OD trailer that Kojima shared out of TGS?
Yes, I did. I mean, it looks like PT all over again. What I thought was really interesting about that is that it is not the Decima engine, which is what we've got accustomed to Kojima Productions using for Death Stranding. They make incredible work with that. This is Unreal 5, and it looks really good, really impressive. And yeah, I mean, it's a little, it's a little bittersweet, because I think we all just, we've PT came and went. We wanted Silent Hills. It's where we just got a brand new Silent Hill game, which people seem to be really liking. And then this came along, and this is definitely, in terms of Kojima teasers, I feel like this was kind of a slow burn, somewhat literally, someone lighting candles gradually, and then something knocking at the door. And it's, I have no doubt it's going to be utterly terrifying. And I'm actually a little bit hesitant to say I'm even going to play it, but it definitely looks like a pretty massive technical achievement. I'm excited about what's coming after that, which might not even be a current gen project, but rather a next gen one, which is Fizzant, which is Kojima's, follow up to Metal Gear's next espionage project. But it's wild that he, going independent-ish with Kojima Productions, we've gotten an entirely new genre with Strand games, and now we're getting the spiritual successor to what Silent Hills would have been. And then after that, we're getting, a Metal Gear continuation, so to speak. So I'm just, happy the guys keep him busy.
Yeah, and Ryan, OD is an Xbox game.
I mean, it's honestly, it's immediately now one of the biggest Xbox exclusives in their portfolio. There really isn't at least that I know the commenters will instantly correct me, but I I can't immediately think of a big exclusive horror game on Xbox. PlayStation's had some of them, and some Silent Hill games, in fact. But yeah, in terms of Xbox, the horror genre is so prevalent now, so popular, and I don't think there's. I mean, The Medium, maybe, if you want to consider that a horror game from way, way early in the generation. I mean, it was good. It wasn't amazing, but yeah, I think this will be. I mean, having the PT spiritual successor be an Xbox exclusive is a nice win for Microsoft.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Max, I think this will be the first time that Kojima ships a first-person perspective game. He's only ever done third person before, other than this, right?
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, I think.
Just a random, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like a random factoid that popped into my head there that I just thought, I don't know why that seemed interesting to me, but yeah, this will be a big deal for Xbox for sure.
It's looking very cool. So yeah, right. And you mentioned that fall 2026 is looking really packed, but even in all of 2026, obviously we're getting GTA 6 early in the year, but we're also getting a new Resident Evil, a new 007. Saros from PlayStation is in the first half of the year, and even a Deus Ex remaster. So lots of really cool stuff. Ryan, you suggested the headline for this week's episode that it seems like this generation might be getting a lot more exciting. Is that actually how you feel?
Yeah, honestly, because so much of the early part of this generation was not that there weren't great games, but you didn't have to buy a new console to play a lot of them in the first couple of years, even few years of this generation, because publishers are, well, they're greedy, but they're also not stupid, where they're not going to leave behind all these 100 million plus players that already own PS4s and Xbox Ones. So yeah, it was sort of a delayed start to this generation, which now seems like it's just going to be the norm for whenever the next generation starts. We probably won't see a lot of stuff fully taking advantage of PlayStation 6 for quite a while, but yeah, 5 years in, like it really feels like we're finally starting to hit the stride of this generation. And next year, like you said, Daemon, next year is just going to be absolutely jam-packed full of really just promising, exciting games.
Max, how about you?
Yeah, I think there's a couple other factors at play there. Sort of both the business moves that Sony and Microsoft were respectively making over the course of this generation. Jim Ryan made the whole sort of plan to make everything live service. There were a bunch of live service projects in the works, and most of those didn't pan out, or a lot of them didn't, at least. And meanwhile, Microsoft was basically doing a buying spree. Like, they were busy. They had some federal court cases going on. So it's there's other things happening in these departments, and then on top of that, you've got the ballooning scale and scope of games and the amount of time it takes to make them. And I feel like you always see something like this with a console generation, where some of the best games it's remembered for come towards the tail end. You get some really incredible ones sort of later on that are, once developers have gotten a feel for the hardware and there's enough of an install base that people can really gravitate towards something. But yeah, games just take longer to make now. And it's, I think we're finally starting to see some of the other shoes dropping, so to speak.
Well, if the future of game releases is looking bright, unfortunately, the future of hardware prices is looking a little dimmer. Ryan, Xbox just announced the second price increase for Xbox hardware this year in just a matter of months.
Damon, we were having so much fun. Why did you have to bring that up?
Because you said you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to throw Damon on the bus. No,
it's important.
I mean, we obviously don't want to get into politics, because it's a very loaded subject in terms of the reason for these price increases. We spent 45 minutes on this on Unlocked this week. If you'd like to listen to a kind of a much more in-depth, nuanced conversation there. But, it's whether this is macroeconomic conditions, be it tariffs or what have you, whether it's Microsoft greed trying to make up for lost profits from them not selling as nearly as many pieces of hardware this generation, or both, or some combination thereof. Whatever the case is, and also let me ask Max before I continue. Max, I mean, Sony did end up following suit 3-4 months later after that first round of Xbox price increases. are they going to match them again? I mean, are we going to see the PS5 go up again, you think?
It wouldn't surprise me. Just, because if everyone's expected to pay more, but yeah, they could also just keep it where it is and, maybe sell more. Just because if they've got the cheaper thing on the market by sheer, by it out of inaction. Again, I'm not going to delve into the economics of it because that's a bit above my pay grade, but like, yeah, I mean, they could go either way. Optimistically, they won't. I mean, really optimistically, maybe we'll get a price cut someday and everything will resolve itself. But no, I mean, I wouldn't surprise me in the least if they raise the prices on these, which again has been probably the worst new feature of this console generation is that the machines get more expensive instead of cheaper.
Let's do a little thought exercise real quick, guys. What if just rewind 5 years to September of 2020, right before the Series X and PS5 are coming out. We've just learned the prices. They're going to be $499. If I had asked you in 5 years, how much do you think the PS5 and Xbox Series X will cost?
Yeah.
What would you have said? Because history would have told you that prices would go in the other direction.
Yeah. And you were making the point earlier, Ryan, that when the prices do go in the other direction, when they go down in the later half of a console's life, that's when they sell the most units, right?
Yeah, that's the most, like, I mean, take all the joking aside, take any, sort of politically charged conversation out of it around tariffs or whatever, but just if you bottom line this situation, even if you're a dyed-in-the-wool PlayStation fan who is pointing and laughing at Microsoft, just doing the Nelson, like, you guys suck, you're raising prices. This is really bad for the entire video game industry. It's terrible because, like you said, David, we know historically over, what is this, Gen 9, technically, over all the old generations, as the price traditionally goes down over the course of a generation and the game library goes up, that's when you sell the bulk of your consoles and make the bulk of your money is in that back half of the generation. And the libraries are getting better and they're getting more plentiful in terms of the number of games in them. But we're just not getting the cheaper consoles. We're getting the opposite. We're getting more expensive. And it's really, I think, just dangerous for the entire health of the game industry, whether or not Sony follows suit. They've followed suit once. We'll see if they do again, but it's whether you're a smaller developer that's making a console game. I mean, I think most smaller developers are making PC games, but I guess the highest profile example we could point to, not that they're going to have any trouble making money really, so maybe this isn't the best example, but Grand Theft Auto 6, there is no PC version on day one, not for the foreseeable future. So the number of units they can sell is very directly tied to how many PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series consoles are out there. And if Microsoft isn't selling any hardware because they keep increasing their price and Sony's prices have gone north as well, like, I'm not saying GTA will be any sort of financial failure, but maybe that encourages Take-Two, the publisher that owns Rockstar, to say, well, you know what? We're going to charge $100 for this game because we think we can get it. And we think that's the only real way we can offset the smaller installed base and the smaller pool of people to sell consoles to. So, I mean, maybe I'm completely nuts here and I'm going off the deep end, but I really do think it's, whether you cheer for Microsoft, cheer for Sony, or just cheer, as most of us do, cheer for the whole game industry, I just think this is a really unprecedented thing in a terrible, terrible way, these price increases on the hardware.
Yeah, and it's not going to help the console audience grow. We know this is a problem. Phil Spencer has expressed concern. PC market's growing, but console audience is not growing. PlayStation 2 was Sony's best-selling console ever. So even though Sony seems to be doing well since then, they've never sold as many consoles as they did back in the PS2 era. The audience isn't growing. Price increases are not going to help it grow. So yeah, it's bad news all around. We don't have the answer, but it's an unfortunate situation. And as Max said, the worst feature of this current console generation. In summary, console hardware price increases bad, but lots of exciting games coming in 2026, good. And on that note, we'd like to know, new poll for you to vote on. What newly revealed game are you most excited for? Wolverine, OD, Forza Horizon 6, Saros. Make sure to vote at IGN.com the day this episode goes live. We'll share the results with you next episode, just like we can the poll from last episode. What grade would you give the Nintendo Switch 2 so far? The new console is 100 days old, so we were sort of sharing our report card for it. And the winning result, just like the average of our grades that we assigned, was B. 33% would give the Nintendo Switch 2 a B, and I think that is fair and square. Okay, Humble Games has brought Lost Skies to full 1.0 release, available now in the Humble Store and Steam. Lost Skies is a cooperative survival adventure set high above the clouds in a vast world of floating islands. Explore the remnants of ancient civilizations, uncover the mysteries of their downfall, and harness their advanced technology to survive and thrive. Build and customize your own skyship to serve as both home and warship. Battle colossal skyborne threats, and weather dangerous storms. With seamless traversal using climbing, gliding, and a physics-based grappling hook, every landmark on the horizon is within reach as you shape your own survival story. Lost Skies is out now with a 25% launch discount on the Humble Store, and Humble Choice subscribers can save up to an additional 20% off the launch discount. And that's our show this week. Thank you to both Max and Ryan. Thank you to Jobra and everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. My name is Daemon. We'll be back next week on the latest gaming hardware news. We'll see you then.